So the big story that we are tracking all day long, biggest development, I suppose, of the last few hours, at least 7 suspects have been arrested for the murder of whistleblower Babita Deokaran. The Gauteng health official was gunned down outside her Johannesburg home on Monday. She was one of the key witnesses in the investigation of dodgy PPE contracts. It's reported that police pounced on the suspects in Rosettenville in Johannesburg and seized firearms and cars. eNCA's senior journalist Barry Bateman is following that story and joins us now for an update from Rosettenville. Barry, 7 suspects. It's a major breakthrough just a few days after the murder of Babita Deokaran and also a day after she was laid to rest. What do we know about the operation to take down these 7 suspects?
Yeah, quite right, Tulasizwe. What we know is that 5 of the 7 suspects were in fact arrested at this property behind me. I understand 1 was arrested on the East Rand. I'm not sure about the 7th, but 5 taken at this place. Now, I've spoken to the community members here. They say the police arrived at about 8 p.m. and they were in the building or in the facility until about 1 o'clock this morning, processing the suspects, collecting evidence, and eventually seizing weapons we understand to be linked to the murder of Deokaran. We understand that the suspects living here, this is not a single property, this is a commune. There are several people or families living in the property here in Rosettenville. The occupants of the particular room that have been linked to this murder, they moved in just about a month ago, we understand. The people here know very little about them, except that they say they were Zulu speaking. That accords with what my sources in crime intelligence have told me, that the suspects are apparently all from KwaZulu-Natal, hitmen from that particular province. Now, we know all the troubles that they have there, particularly in the taxi industry. It's widely publicized, but of course political killings. So there is certainly that market, if you want to call it that, for hired guns. Well, the police arriving here 8 p.m. last night, conducting the operation, taking off those suspects. It's now just a matter of processing them and positively linking them to this crime.
So, Barry, if we're following that line of inquiry and what's emerging from the information you are gleaning from your sources, that these are potentially people that came from KwaZulu-Natal, it really just, I suppose, reinforces our worst fears as a country, that these are not people that ordinarily would have had some differences with Babita Deokaran, but rather it's becoming clearer that this was a hit, and these are most likely people that had been hired for specifically this dark task.
Absolutely, Tulasizwe. It's exactly that. And I have it quite reliably that the suspects were paid 400,000 Rand each to execute this hit on Deokaran. I mean, that's a lot of money. You do the math, 7 of them, we're looking at nearly 3 million Rand. That was apparently paid, and I understand a very senior former government official has been implicated by these suspects in carrying out the particular hit. So it goes very high up in government, allegedly. You know, that, of course, still to be confirmed, but the fact remains that we're talking about a well-planned and a well-executed assassination by people who are hired guns from another province that have been brought in to do this. Now, I suppose I need to give credit where it's due. We understand that crime intelligence, in fact, played a crucial role in leading to this particular property and the other suspects that were arrested elsewhere in Johannesburg. And we understand that it's a General Khan in crime intelligence who has led this operation, who is very closely involved. But it does show in some respects, and very thankfully, that some aspects of crime intelligence do still work. We had that murder on Monday. We're now sitting on Friday with 7 people behind bars.
And I imagine then, Barry, that the house behind you would be a trove for the investigators, right? In terms of them piecing together a picture of the planning that went into this particular crime, but also any other evidence that they probably would have gathered there.
Absolutely. You know, speaking to people, and I asked, do you think I could have access to the room where these suspects were living? And unfortunately, it's been locked up. Like I said, there's several people who live in this property. It's a bit of a commune. But the police being here from 8 o'clock till about midnight gives you the idea of the several hours that they spent here. Having a peek inside, I see they have left their trays of coffee that they would have been drinking into the night to keep warm and stay awake as the officers do their work. So I can imagine quite a lot of evidence would have been gathered here, you must also think of the electronic evidence, the cell phones and the like, which could prove crucial to placing certain people at certain locations at certain times, and also linking the various suspects through the communications and the planning that would have gone into a hit of this particular nature. So quite right, the room in here where these individuals staying would have been the prime location where investigators would be gathering as much as they can to put together a solid case to ensure that those responsible for this callous murder are brought to book.
So credit where it's due to the crime intelligence operatives and I suppose the SAPS, but also credit to you, Barry. The amount of detail that you've been able to glean in such a short space of time is really impressive. That's our Barry Bateman. Look out for more of his reporting here on eNCA on those 7 arrests, 7 people arrested, and Barry giving a great deal of detail actually for an event that occurred last night. He's been able to tell us about the origin, the suspected origin of these suspects, and even the amounts that are said to have been involved by way of payment for this particular hit. Barry will report more for you here on eNCA.